What's up, guys? Mason Brock Henderson here, and once again, apologize for this taking so long. Really busy week. But this is NCIS Season 14, Episode 10, The Tie That Binds. And this is our Ducky episode for the season. We always have that one where we get to look back into Ducky's past. We get to see how he used to be when he was younger, life for him when he was younger, all that good stuff. In my opinion, though, this one not nearly as strong as some of the other Ducky episodes for a few reasons. First of all, I do want to say I enjoy getting to see Ducky as a young man because the guy that plays young Ducky does a really good job of portraying him. And in fact, in this episode, we actually have a moment where Ducky actually gets a chance to sort of talk to his younger self, like in his mind, of course. But, they're having a conversation and they're sort of talking about is what he did to his mom and the guy she was about to marry, is what he did right. And of course, his younger self is like, of course, he was going to con her, blah, blah, blah. And Ducky's like, but I don't know, maybe I took away the one possibility for a relationship. So overall, it was a pretty good episode, but there are a few things near the end that really kind of frustrated me. First thing wasn't really near the end. It was just kind of the setup for the episode in the background, the flashbacks and all that stuff. It is kind of a cliche story. We have somebody's come in trying to con somebody else, but then, but now I actually do love them, and then somebody from the family members knows what they're trying to do, and then they try to break them up. And I've seen this done so many times, I can't even count how many times I've seen this done. And this is probably the first time where the focus was not on either the con man or the person they're trying to con. Most of the time, the focus is on one of those two. Either the main character is the con man, and then they find true love, and then they don't want to con them anymore. Or the focus is on the person being conned, and then people around them are telling them, look, they're trying to con you, and then they don't want to believe it, and that type of thing. And even if they do believe it, they're like, but what if they actually do love me enough to not want to? Anyway, most of the time, that's where the story is. That's where the focus is. This is one of the few times that I've seen it focused on somebody, like one of the family members on the outside looking in, seeing the problems, wanting to step in and help, but it's like, the two people don't want to listen. The con man already admits the fact that he loves her and doesn't want to give that up. And then the mom, of course, thinks she's in love, thinks she's found the only love in her life, and doesn't want to give that up. So it's been done to death, but they did do it pretty well here, I'll say. Just a few different things. But then when we get to near the end, everything going on with the case, we see Ducky talk to his younger self, trying to figure out is what he did right. The fact that he may have ruined the last chance at love that his mom had. And then they figure out about the gardener. They figure out that his mom and the gardener had a little thing going on. And at the very end, he's like, I did get a Christmas present. I was reading my mom's journal, and apparently she and Mr. Wren had a romance going on, so I didn't ruin that last chance. And the reason I have a problem with this, and this is not the first time that this has been done before in other shows, other movies, stuff like that, but it kind of takes away all of the emotional baggage in that entire story. If they had left it on a note of Ducky didn't know, he didn't know whether or not, or even if they ended on a note that his mom never did find love again, and now it's a question of will he be able to find love again. If they had done it something like that, it would have been much better. It would have been much more emotional. But instead what we get is, don't worry about it, Ducky. Who cares about that decision? Because guess what? She managed to find love with the gardener anyway. Hell, she may have been out of her mind, so it may not have actually been true love, but she thought it was true love, and that's all you should think about. You shouldn't think about the weight of your decisions and what that could have meant for her. I don't understand. Obviously all the decisions you make lead to now, so you don't want to look back with regret, but that's not the way they took it. They didn't take it in a way of, if you didn't make that decision, she wouldn't have come to America with you, and then, you may not have been able to live with her for the last few years of her life. They didn't go that way. They instead took it a way of, Ducky, don't worry about it. She found love anyway. You don't have to feel bad about your decision. And there's no emotional weight in that. There's no consequences for your decisions. There's no thinking about it and being like, well, if I had to make the decision again, would I? It was just like they sort of brushed it aside and said, whatever. Happy ending in the end. That's all we need to know. And I don't like that. I think that's kind of a cop out. I think you could have done something much more emotional there. You could have either ended it sad, which most Ducky episodes tend to end on a very sad note. Only a couple have ended on kind of a happy note, but even then there's still some emotional moment that makes you kind of sad. So it's not like they're afraid to end it on a sad note. They just decided for this one, for some reason, nah, we're gonna make it happy. We're gonna make it all who cares anymore, happy-go-lucky. And I don't think that's a good decision. I think they could have done something much better there. They really, like I said, it's a cop-out. And this show is not known for doing that many cop-outs. They have done it a couple times, but especially for the Ducky episodes, like the one with his brother, I think it was 2 seasons ago, where he found out his brother was still alive, and it's just kind of like, there's a chance, oh, his brother's still alive, there's a chance to be with him again, and then he finds out that his brother is, like, mentally disabled, I think they said he has Alzheimer's. I mean, it was kind of even though he's happy to see his brother again, it was still emotional, because you have to deal with the fact that you found your long-lost brother, but he's not the same brother that you once knew. That's kind of sad. It's an emotional end to the episode. It's not a 100% happy ending. This one, they just said whatever and gave it a 100% happy ending. And I think that's lazy. I think it's just saying, who cares? Let's just throw that out there. So, rest of the episode was good, though. I mean, I would say the case itself was pretty interesting. It kept you guessing. It wasn't straightforward, even though we did see the guy that killed whoever the victim was. Green was his last name. We saw the guy that killed him, but why did he kill him? Who was he working for? All that stuff. It was a good mystery. You had to kind of figure out where it was going. I think it was a colonel. I want to say it was a colonel. Was he responsible for stealing data? Was he actually a criminal? Was he being investigated? All that stuff. And, most of the time the mysteries can get a bit lazy. They can get a bit boring. This one actually had me guessing. I was interested to see, every time they got a new clue, I was like, ooh, where's this going now? And NCIS doesn't normally do that, so I was glad that they managed to do that. The stuff with the team, as always, is just really good. Once again, we have more of Clayton and Torres kind of doing their little, like, challenging each other because they just want to prove that they are more manly, and it's so much fun to watch. We've got stuff with McGee and Quinn and Gibbs. I forget what they were talking about. It was one of the rules. Oh, the coincidence. Like, Quinn was like, what if it's just a coincidence? And McGee and Gibbs both look at her like, did you just say that? Like, are you stupid or something? All the stuff with this team is really good, but the thing that really had me laughing the most is the fact that Tobias is back, and then Emily, they brought her into the show as well. And honestly, I like whenever Emily's in the show. I think she just got this kind of sarcastic feel to her. You can tell she is Tobias's daughter. Like, the relationship that they have on the show is just so good. There's so much chemistry there. They work off of each other very well. And what's going on in this episode is a pretty interesting little scenario, because she clearly wants her father home for Christmas. And I'm kind of wondering if he really is being lazy, or if there's something else going on that's causing, like, if he's just really happy being waited on, if he's happy to not have to have all the responsibility, if that's why he's staying with Gibbs so long. I'm wondering if they're going to talk about that a little bit more, and why he stayed there so long. But she wants him back home, so she goes to wake him up, tries to get him to come back. Gibbs is like, you have my permission to do whatever it takes. And so she infects the home with termites because her new boyfriend is an entomologist. That's a very interesting and kind of a clever way to get them out of the house. But of course it ends on a note where now Gibbs is staying with Fornell because now his house is infected with termites. So yeah, it was funny. It was a good emotional episode for them as well, because we do get to see that more emotional side of them. We get to see the fact that Emily has been missing her father and wants to see him again, because they don't really talk that much anymore. And honestly, their whole situation has kind of been swept under the rug over the past couple seasons. I mean, the fact that all they have is each other, you would think that they'd be talking more. You'd think that there'd be more interaction between them, but there's not really. So I'm glad that they got to focus on it a bit in this episode. I hope they don't just stop focusing on it again. But who knows? NCIS doesn't do a great job of, oh, this happened in the last episode, we're going to take it into this episode. Most of the time it's, we talked about it here, now that's done. We're going to move on to the next episode. But overall, I mean, it's a good episode. I hate the fact that they copped out in the end, but it's still nice to see some of the stuff with Ducky. It's still nice to learn more about him and what happened in his past, what happened when he was younger. I mean, it is an emotional thing to go through, seeing a loved one clearly being cheated out of something, clearly being with somebody that they don't belong with. And it's a question of, do you step in and say something, or do you just let them have what they have just in case there really is love there? You know, that's a good question. I wish they tackled it a bit more, but whatever. It's NCIS, it's the 14th season. Honestly, I'm surprised they're still going at this point. So I feel like the details don't really matter that much to them anymore. And that does concern me, but it's kind of become the norm for me, to be honest. So, I don't know. I'm frustrated, but at the same time, I'm glad that the case was at least interesting. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know, we can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.